Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors, WrestlingTradingCards.com's fans, Wrestling with Cards fans, worlds colliding. Here we are again. What's up, Tony?
I felt the stumble. I felt you stumbling and you didn't fall on your face. I love it.
It might have been a work. It might have been a shoot. It might have been a work shoot.
We'll never know.
We don't know.
We'll never know.
You got
a few people know.
You got to love wrestling where you can be shady and no one knows.
No one knows. Right. That's right.
So today we are talking about the Fleer years. And of course, Tony is pretty much an expert on this stuff. I am going to be leaning heavily on you, not because I am not a fan, because I'm definitely going to get into some stuff I like. But this is a period where I wasn't really collecting as much as I was in the 90s. And then, of course, later on, like once Topps, really, that's when I started buying stuff again. Is when
did you get back in like in 05, 06, 07, yes, or even later than that?
Both. Like it's just kind of been a hit and miss up until probably about 3-4 years ago when I was like, I just really want to dig into wrestling. I would just pick up stuff here and there. And the biggest reason that I did not buy a lot of the Fleer stuff is because I just never saw it anywhere around me. Like it wasn't at Walmart, Target, places that I bought cards. I could always find kind of the older WWF product that was still laying around. And then later on, I could find the TNA stuff. But and then the top.
I think that's also speaking volumes to Fleer's distribution back in those days, because shortly thereafter they weren't a company anymore. That's why they stopped, because they just went out of business. I just don't think that they had the same distribution rights as a Topps or even a Pacific or TriStar in the early mid 2000s, 2008 actually.
Which is nuts to think that a company like Fleer that is established would not be able to outperform like TriStar.
True, but did you ever find anything in stores for their other licenses that weren't sports stuff, sports stuff?
Some sports stuff, yes, but not wrestling.
It boggles my mind too to try to understand why a company like Fleer couldn't get their wrestling product into Targets and Walmarts. Because me personally, I don't recall too often. I think I would find every once in a while, maybe. I know I even found like at Toys R Us.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember Target and Walmart too much. So
is this one of those things that it's almost like it is now, where if you're a wrestling fan, you've actually got to go online or go to an LCS or go somewhere to seek out the product? It's not just there to pick up like some of this other stuff is.
It seems like it to me. Fleer was just, to me, I always saw Fleer product no matter what it was, whatever license they had. And because there were a lot more LCSs back then anyway. So I had 4 or 5 different ones within a 20-mile radius in any direction that I could have gone to in Southern California. And of course, we had, Frankenstein Collectible show, which was kind of a, 60,000 square foot warehouse of all kinds of things collectible. But I'm just trying to remember where I used to get my Fleer. I would actually order my boxes and cases, at the time, I would order them from a local card shop, a local dealer. And surprisingly, a non-sport specialist, didn't carry any sports. But he carried wrestling. So he carried all the Buffy and the Angels and the Xena and the Spider-Man, Marvel, all that crap. And then he, would carry wrestling too as well. And I would just order my stuff through him.
All right, so let's kick things off. License, was it 2000? I think it's 2001 to 2004 is what I had down.
Yeah. Yep.
So only a 3-year run. I think this could be like the shortest run of WWE product, and as far as cards go, from a licensing perspective. Is that correct, or maybe?
The first run of WWF stuff from Topps only had 2 years.
That's true. Oh, if you count that as separate from them picking back up in the
correct,
middle,
yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
because it's weird because I mentioned that because you see a lot of articles today talking about Topps losing the license. Mm-hmm. They've had it for so many years, dating back to the 80s. They don't realize that there was broken periods in there where they didn't have that license.
Well, and wrestling's interesting that there's a lot of overlap with like, Merlin and Classic.
Yep.
And then you had a little bit of action packed, and then you had comic image. Like there's so much weird overlap. I think it's just a wrestling thing, but
Yep.
for a company like Fleer, I would expect a product line to run longer than 3 years.
Yeah, well, and it's, whatever their financial issues were, you have to go back and look, you can Google it, I guess, to find out what their reasonings were. But, whatever caused them to go out of business it wasn't just because like, oh, well, wrestling bankrupted us kind of thing. They still had all the other sports licenses, I thought, too, at the time. They were still putting out, the merging was, they had the Skybox Fleer stuff. So like I said, they're still putting out, some quality non-sport stuff. So I don't know what caused them to, go out of business, to be honest with you. So it's just something you have to go look up. But that 3 years was a good run of stuff. I mean, They picked up the license where Comic Images left off. They picked it right up. And that gray area in between Comic Images and Fleer picking up, there was supposed to be the first ever Divas release by Comic Images that had a promo card set, an 8-card promo card set that is super low circulation. To my knowledge, 8 to 10 sets exist. That's it.
Do you know
the 8-card
people?
promos?
Do you know people that have those?
I know me. That's about it.
I see what you're doing there.
I'm the only one that has one that I'm aware of. And for someone who was at that time, I was very much in bed with Comic Images. So I was on the phone with them. Ron Ferrari was my point of contact. He was the editor for all the stuff, and in addition to whatever his contact was with WWE, of making sure the wording was correct in the back, things like that. He was in charge of making sure that the images were correctly aligned, all that kind of stuff. He was the one that educated me on the process of the nightmare that goes through putting a card set together of from start to finish, not only from the concept to imaging to design to the wordings like that to actual impacts and release. But I didn't even know this Diva set existed until I saw it in some kind of a price guide called Gummy Guide, the official non-sport gummy guide that was out of the UK. And it mentioned these promo cards that I said, that's got to be fake. There's no such thing. I would have known about this. I called up Ron. He's like, "Oh yeah, we were supposed to do blah, 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 blah. And we made a limited number of sets before, like, stop. We're done. Whatever the case may be from the licensing, right?" He's like, "We have one set in house. I'll scan it because you're a big fan. So we have it for archiving purposes. You can have the set." Like, wow, thank you, Ron. So it went from that, and then Fleer comes into the picture and puts out their first thing, which was the WrestleMania set.
Yeah, so you want to just jump into kind of the releases. We'll get into our favorites and kind of some other stuff, but if you just want to give people like a, I guess, history lesson in Fleer releases and kind of what they were able to do and anything that stands out from a creative perspective.
I mean, they did some cool things. You're talking still early years of wrestling cards in the modern era. So you're still talking about, Topps did it with WWF stuff at the time, or WCW stuff at the time, with obviously having on-card autographs that we all know and love, and we've talked about that. It's become like the modern, grail set to have. And then that embossed set introduced for the first time in wrestling, introduced for the first time event worn memorabilia, a relic card for that Hogan stuff. Then Comic Images kind of took that and did the same thing with, their No Mercy set, and had, those swatch cards, and of course scattered autographs in the releases as well. And then, Fleer gets a hold of it and kind of takes it to the next level with adding, autographs, kiss cards, lip print cards.
I think next level may be an understatement to the thing that they've went above and beyond. For some of these
totally
things.
100%. I mean, so in 2001 they put out they put out WrestleMania, they put out Raw is War set, they put out the Ultimate Diva collection, which became the first women's dedicated to women's wrestling kind of thing, the Ultimate Diva collection, which, by the way, ends up across all those releases becomes like my least favorite set that Fleer would put out. The Chase were okay. It offered autographs, on-card autographs, which was another thing about them. It was all on-card. Yeah. It was all on-card autographs. There were no stickers with Fleer. It was great. They put out even Fleer was different because it went beyond just buying a box, a hobby box or a retail box, which they offered both of that. They went around and put things like, oh, WWE Magazine. Oh, we're going to put trading cards inside WWE Magazine too, of all the Diva stuff. They had a Diva Magazine set.
Now, were those magazine cards, or were they like actual cards that were inserted into the magazine in like a cellophane or something?
No, they were actually on a 9 card, just like the the 80, 85, WWF stuff, or wrestling stuff. The same thing. They're perforated. You had to tear them out like the wrestling magazines. And they had they were smart about it. They put same cover of I believe it was Lita on the cover. So I got some beach scene, it was like all the Diva magazine, all these risque, hot stuff, because they were still coming out of the Attitude Era and going in the Aggression Era, and would have these Divas and Hedonism kind of stuff and like that. And they put out Lita would be on the cover, but the cover would say 1 of 3 9-card sets. You had to collect 3 of those magazines to get all 3 of them and go and find them. So that was cool.
Right.
And did it twice. They did it twice. With the second time they did it, it was different covers, so you knew what you were getting, kind of thing. But Fleer was doing some innovative stuff then. So that's 2001. They put out a lot of stuff just in 2001, and then you go right into 2002, and they put in the Royal Rumble set, which become this iconic thing now because it has a great rookie card class. They had Raw versus SmackDown, and everything that was separated. Not only they have a Raw and a SmackDown, like every other card. This one was a SmackDown star. This was a Raw star, SmackDown star, a Raw star. But even the chase, it was Raw and SmackDown, the memorabilia stuff. I had a SmackDown memorabilia and a Raw memorabilia. They put out, what was it that year? Another Divas magazine. They put out, they did some of the KB toys.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites.
So they put out something with the KB toys. Basically, what was that called? It was Get Real.
I remember they had they had sayings on the back of them that I could not imagine the wrestler actually saying, like quotes.
Well, they had sayings on that, but it was also supposed to be about it'd be Trish Stratus went to college and this is what she majored in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was Get Real was a partnership between WWF, and that was in 2001. I think it came out actually, between WWF, KB Toys, and it was supposed to be about education, stay in school kids, and so every superstar had what they were kind of went to school for in college or what they did, in addition to being this kick-ass talent for WWF at the time. So they released, what else did they release that year in 2002? They did Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble just takes over everything for that year.
Well, they had Absolute Divas. So that was a second Diva focus set. And I like that one much better. Just one that had a more of an embossed feel on the Absolute Diva logo. And also keep in mind, they did a lot of parallels with their stuff, which Comic Images didn't do and Topps wasn't doing. There was parallel cards. So you had a parallel set. One level, that was it. So with their WrestleMania set that came out in 2001, it would be stamped WrestleMania, it had stamp on it. That was the parallel.
Right.
Absolute Diva would say Absolute Diva, and they call them Diva Gems. And the Absolute Diva logo on the card, instead of being in red or pink, whatever it was, would be in gold. That was the parallel card. When they did Chaos in 2003 or everything it was, whatever, they would the Chaos logo would be in gold, not silver. When they did WrestleMania 20 in 2004, so it was in gold, not in silver. That was the parallel stuff.
A time of simpler parallels.
Yeah, it was one parallel, and you'd get it would take you 4, 5, 6 boxes to make a parallel set, but it was only one. You could probably make a parallel out of a case. That's
pretty good.
And it would spread it across the board too. It wasn't just a hobby exclusive; it was also retail. You got a parallel too.
That's cool.
But I think people gravitate a lot towards, for the Fleer era stuff, they gravitate a lot towards obviously the Royal Rumble set, because that's just got the iconic rookie set with Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Cena, and who else we got in there? Batista,
yeah.
Then in 2003, what we had WrestleMania 19, we had there's an Aggression set they put out, which was kind of cool because that card stock was a different kind of feel. It was more almost like a old gray stock, gray car.
Yeah.
So it had that kind of a feel to it. They had the WrestleMania 20 pay-per-view cards they put out. Fleer did a lot of cool things besides just putting out a box, and that was it. Putting out a box, and that's it.
Or putting out a set, like.
Yeah, and that was it. There was that pay-per-view thing, which I think is a very grossly, and I say it a lot for a lot of things, but wrestling as a whole, week after week, I say the same thing. It's just undervalued. There's a pay-per-view set that came out that led up to WrestleMania 20 that you had to watch X amount of number of pay-per-views, send in a copy of your receipt that you paid for the pay-per-view, and then you would be sent from your cable company, Fleer would send you a pack of 5 cards from that set. So it'll be set 1, set 2, set 3, always. So it's 8 pay-per-views you have to do. And then randomly inserted in those little packs might be a piece of the ring card.
So was there ever print runs released of those specifically?
There's no print runs released of any of their stuff really, other than the fact if it was numbered. So you'd have like
Gotcha.
The War Booty stuff from the Raw is War set would be numbered to 500. And those were hand numbered, by the way.
Yeah.
So what I had learned, and then so I kind of got in bed with Fleer in the sense that I was just a normal regular customer who would send in the redemptions because Fleer did the redemptions and things. So say that there's a Triple H autograph card for the Warriors Booty, War Booty, they called it, Raw's War set that Triple H never signed. So later on, you would probably get like, something from All Access or some other release that would send you something for, which Triple H's first official trading card was with a Fleer product. That was in the All Access off the mat graph.
Yeah. That's an awesome card too, by the way.
Which is nice because his cards, he didn't take it literally. He signed right there on the ring mat stuff right in the middle, where you have a Trish Stratus was above, the RVD was above, Jim Ross signed on it. Hurricane signed above. It was crazy. They just put a lot of cool product out there. They put out things that just weren't t-shirts and ring mat stuff. They've had trash can cards, piece of the table cards, folding chair cards. There's a piece of a steel chair.
Gold medal piece.
Gold medal ribbon, which I kick myself in the butt every time for getting rid of because now it's my PC now. They had Farouk knee brace card, which was so brittle and frail, it was hard to put in a cards. Like maybe 12 of those cards exist or something like that.
That's definitely one of like the grail cards for a lot of people in the hobby.
Hurricane mask card.
That's another one. Yeah.
It's just some really cool, innovative stuff at the time that nobody was doing and really hasn't done much since.
No, and honestly, if you can, I know a lot of people were kind of freaking out about the fully loaded set when that came out because they were like, oh, it's got a piece of a chair, a piece of a table, a piece of a mic. And I agree that stuff is cool. And I actually really liked the fully loaded set. But comparing that to the Fleer stuff, like the Fleer stuff's so much cooler. I don't know if it's the card design. I don't know what it is, but the Fleer, like they probably have the best relic sets of every wrestling card in history.
I think so. I think you're right. And here's a downside for Fleer release stuff. A lot of their product they put out was very condition sensitive. If they're looking to grade things like that, a lot of their product was condition sensitive. I don't know if it's just the way that company packaged their stuff. I'm not sure if it's who was printing what companies were printing their stuff. So you have a lot of miscut stuff sometimes. I don't know. It's very condition sensitive. It's why it's hard to find Royal Rumble stuff, especially because that was more of like almost a thicker embossed type of card stock. Right. So it was, it's just hard. But I love Fleer stuff at the time, and so I've told the story before as a thank you for not bitching at us all the time type of thing. When from my rep at Fleer, she sent me a care package when she knew the company was going out. And she kind of rated their vault. They used to call it the vault. She rated their vault and sent me like this little I could slap her if I ever saw her, met her, but because it's like, you don't put rubber bands on this stuff like that. But she took packs. It was all Ultimate Diva collection stuff, and took packs. I think if I'm trying to remember, it's like 3 packs in the front, 3 packs in the back, and put them in and wrapped them with a rubber band around it, and then used the packs to use it as a padding, and had surprised me by putting stuff in the middle of it, which I didn't know was stuff in the middle because it just looked like it was all like packs. I took the rubber band. Oh man, these bloody savages, man! I took it off like that. That's so nice of her. And I opened it, and these cards kind of came out. It was like there's a Triple H off the mat graph, a Farouk knee brace, a Hurricane Mask card, and the weakest of all of them. It was and it was a national sports convention exclusive Trish Stratus autograph card, and it was like a matching set, like Trish, sparkly thing with a Big Show or something like that, whatever it was. I thought, that's so awesome. She sent that. It had a little note, says, "Thank you for never complaining and being a good customer."
That's awesome.
And I thought, oh, it was great. So
I don't think you'd get that from the card companies today.
No, but it does. It just goes to show you, be nice to the people that you never know what. Be nice to people, period, because you never know what might come around. Karma can go a long way, I think. But I mean, I can talk about Fleer stuff all day long. What do you remember most about Fleer for you? Like, you say you didn't collect much. Did you collect any of it when it came out at the time? Did you?
Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Never saw it anywhere.
Do you own any Fleer release stuff in your collection now?
Yep, it's all singles. That's I've gone back and bought a lot of the singles, and that's actually, if you want to skip forward to some of my favorite cards, obviously we can't not talk about the big four rookies in the 2002 set. The Royal, honestly, I don't think, and this is so hard for me to go back and look at some of these because I'm not a set collector. So unless it is a rookie card, it's hard for me to really get into a lot of these sets because some of them have cool imagery. Some of them have good names in there, but if it's not a rookie card, they don't offer a lot of cool parallels. So there's nothing for me to chase. And then if they don't offer some cool relic, it's just kind of another set. And I think there's a lot of the stuff in Fleer that is kind of that to me. But on the flip side, outside of the big rookies, again, these are the best relic cards I've ever seen. And what I like to do is go back and I go to this website that has these checklists where I can figure out and I find out what the rookie card is. All that stuff is at this website called wrestlingtrainingcards.com.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a new site. It's coming up, but
all right.
Good resource.
I'll check it out. I
like to go through the relic checklist and I like to just kind of check out what's there. And then from there, I start kind of putting my investment hat on and being like, okay, Rock stuff, Hogan stuff, Austin, Flair, Undertaker, these big names, you can go back and find these pieces that it's what you said. It's not necessarily just a t-shirt or just a piece of the mat, but one of my favorites is a piece of the mat from the WrestleMania with the famous Hogan Rock main event.
Yes.
The fact that you can go back and pinpoint some of that's one thing Fleer did really well that Topps does not do as well. They do it a little bit, but not like Fleer did, that you can go back and pinpoint. Yeah, it's just a ring mat, but it was specifically used at this event and it'll have pictures of, the two guys in the match. That's exactly, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, so this is from the Raw versus SmackDown set. This was the Raw side. So they call these pay-per-view relics.
Also, interesting card design with the top of it.
Yeah, it's a die cut, which I really liked like that, But, this was common back then, too. It was the Matitude stuff where they had ring mat stuff. And it's all cool, too. But
that's also I think that's a cool card design, too, the Matitude.
Yeah, well, what was nice about that, again, stuff that you just don't think about that gets done today. They had another version of that came out from that set where the whole inside is a ring mat, big piece of ring mat with the image of the wrestler printed on the ring mat.
Mm-hmm.
And those were numbered.
Yeah. So,
I mean, and you had some high end stuff at the time too, which was all those Kiss cards. Now,
but these are first. Did they do the first ones in wrestling?
Yes. Yep.
And
first Kiss cards. Yep.
Right.
First Kiss cards were ever done for wrestling was done from Fleer as well. And you had every name, every girl that did them at the time. So I mean, you have China is a good example to try and find her stuff. I mean, it's good stuff to find autographed kit versions of her stuff. You know, Trish and Lita, Jacqueline, Miss Jackie, Ivory, you know, Gail Kim at some point in time too, Molly Holly, Terry Reynolds, even first time ever, Stephanie McMahon Helmsley autograph card,
Yeah.
you know, from Divas Private Collection, they called it. That came out, and that's a sweet looking card. It's kind of a grail in some people's collection. First, and again, all on card.
Yeah. When Topps, was it Topps or was it TNA that first started doing the stickers? I know some of the TriStar stuff with TNA because I used to buy.
I think it'd be Topps from the 2006 Chrome had that, because TNA didn't have theirs until 2008.
Okay, yeah, I remember buying a lot of the 2000, a lot of retail blasters of the 2008 TNA stuff.
Yeah, because you got an autograph in every, you got the low level autograph in every box.
Right. So yeah, I have some of the relics, and the thing that is fun for me is I don't like. There's something about these relics, like I don't care about the condition. Like I did a mail day video a while back, and I found a. Again, I don't remember what set it was or anything like that, but it has a piece of it's got the Rock and Mankind, and it's got a piece of the Rock shirt and a piece of Mick Foley shirt. And on the Mick Foley shirt, it's white. Mine is white, and there's black on it.
Yep.
So it, like, I don't know.
That's
like,
from the All Access set. It's called Matchmakers.
There you go. So big crease in the back of it, some chipping on the sides, but it doesn't even matter.
Typical Flair.
Yeah, it's all about the relic, and that's one thing I just want to emphasize to people. If you're going out and looking at these, obviously get the best condition you can, but long term, I don't think the condition on these relics is going to matter, because they're really hard to find from what I've seen, even though they're not numbered. And something else I'll throw out there with the numbered cards, correct me if I'm wrong, but outside of Action Packed, when they did the Hogan and the Macho, or the Undertaker and the Macho Man, out of 500 numbered, I think this is the next set to pick that up, is it not?
Numbered wise,
yeah, I don't remember.
Didn't do it with Comic Images. Didn't do
yeah.
it. No, they didn't do that. It just had the congratulations on the back kind of thing. You have a genuine autograph kind of thing. Then when Flair took over, it's like that. Yeah, it actually had numbered. Now the difference in that is that Action Pack actually had a serial numbered stamping on it. They were printed that way on it.
Right.
Whereas the Flair stuff, originally the first couple of releases they were hand numbered. And now what made that kind of was you could get replacement if you had a card that was damaged or something like that.
Oh,
you could get a replacement from them, and they would send you an hand numbered one, and then people would just turn around and hand number them.
I see.
On the flip side too, they would have stuff that was serial numbered in their later release, because they'd actually be serial numbered on the card itself. Then they would send you an unserial number that would be hand numbered. It was weird.
Okay, yeah. So I think maybe, if you see some of these that are numbered, it seems a little bit more risky with the hand numbered stuff. With the fact that they would replace them.
There was rumors a lot too that Flair would say, "Hey, we're aware of the fact that a sheet was taken from our inventory somehow. I don't know how that ever happens, and gets put out there because there was like supposed to be a Tory. Remember Tory, the one that was like follow around and became a fan of Stable and that whole thing. She didn't sign for a particular release, and supposedly there's ones out there that exist of hers that never were supposed to be out. There's also the rumor that. And it's been proven that there's that Divas private collections like that, where there's some Lita autograph cards that she didn't sign. Somebody else signed them because they got somehow away from Flair's offices and made their way out into the public, and somebody out there turned around and signed them. So that's it's been a long.
And you say they signed them, meaning like they forged it, or
they forged it. So like it just forged Lita's name on it. It's like that. So, some of those I could take them to Amy herself, and she's like, I didn't sign that.
And that's why I wanted to ask, is to get the clarification, because we have seen where sometimes some cards that are unofficial or official that are blank, and then they take them to actual signings and get them signed. Sure. And then it can get confusing for collectors.
It can. So it's just that's why WTC exists, to archive information and make sure hey, this was never put in packs, but if you find one that's been autographed, it's not guaranteed genuine by the manufacturer past, present, whatever, doesn't matter. So just kind of buyer beware, use your own, judgment. It happens. So
Last, I guess, set, if you want to call it that, was the KB toys. And the whole thing with that is it's all nostalgia to me.
yep.
I just attach that to going to KB toy store all the time when I was a kid, and just, we talk about nostalgia and collecting and how it drives. So the Relics, the 2002 Royal Rumble, and the KB toys, that's kind of the highlights for me. What about you?
I'm surprised you didn't like. Well, maybe you don't like the designs too much. Right? They did a video game set called SmackDown Shut Your Mouth.
I have, yeah, I'm familiar with those. I thought it was cool, but it just didn't, like, these I just totally gravitated to.
Again, it's something else that, Topps did it a little bit here and there, where they include like some promos and like DVDs, like when they had the Legend set that was available in the Wrestlers Greatest Managers, it's like that. You can go in there and get that DVD and have like a special, I think 3 or 4 card promo set that was available in that. But oftentimes Topps didn't do a whole lot of like various cool promotional things and different things all over the place at the time, when they first took over. Maybe they did those things later on, but that's also kind of when I stopped collecting myself too. So I have to go back and check out the website to re-educate myself. But the Fleer was doing that kind of stuff with magazines and KB Toys. They had a working relationship with KB Toys, and the pay-per-view cards, and Fleer was doing a lot of cool things to get people to buy, get into trading cards. It's what they wanted to do.
It's hard to buy them when you can't get them to people, though.
True. Very true. I think that's what's probably killed him, I think, maybe in that respect. But my favorite sets from them, I love the WrestleMania 20 logo cards because the logo's on it. I love that logo. So I like that WrestleMania 20 set. It was just a big, cool logo they had. It was clearly, you knew if you had a regular card or a parallel card. And they wrapped that setup with, first of all, they had cool images in there. There's a kick-ass Ultimo Dragon card in that one. A cool Shawn Michaels card in that one. There's no rookies per se in that one at all, but it's just cool designs. And they wrapped up that set with, they had the Divas, and set, which was a cool design. And then they had the pay-per-view poster stuff, which was kind of cool to wrap up that like 89, whatever, 87, really some weird card set number. It's just a cool looking card set. I love that card set for some reason. I just kind of my favorite of all of them.
And moving on to the least favorites, you said the Divas.
That first Ultimate Diva ones, I wasn't a big fan of that bubble stuff on there, but it was easy to find out what parallel you got from that one because all the bubbles were in gold, as opposed to being and it's like you didn't have the roster of women at the time that you do now. So when you put about a Diva set now, or a women's set, they call it now, a women's edition, you have a lot more to choose from, a lot of cool women out there to choose from, and they still pay homage to the legends as well too in that respect. So you only had like 6, 7, 8 women you were kind of focusing on. You always had Trish, you had Terry, you had Lita, you had Ivory in the beginning. You'd sprinkle in Miss Jackie, and then you throw in, like, I think in one set you had like what's her name, Linda Miles, remember her, Shaniqua?
No,
she was
I don't. I had to think about it, and I was like, nope, no, I don't.
She was I think a Tough Enough winner. I think she won. It's like that.
It's probably why I don't.
Yeah, kind of like if you blinked, you missed her kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then later on, when they got Sable came back, they had Sable in there as well. And then you had Gail Kim and Molly Holly. And so Molly Holly was in the early ones too. But you just didn't have a roster of women like you do now. So it was repeat. Card number 1 be Trish, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 be different women, then Trish again, and then 2, 3, and then Trish again. And so it just kind of repeated itself a lot. And the images they use, you can clearly tell most it was all from the same photo shoots. So
that's just kind of lazy.
Yeah, it's Trish doing this, and it's Trish doing this, and it's Trish. It's all the same stuff. It was kind of a lazy set, like you said. Yeah. So you went after that for the chase. You went after that for the all the different chase they had in there, the autographs and the memorabilia.
For least favorite for me, I don't know that this is even fair to make the statement, but like it's just a lot of the base set stuff. Like unless you're like it's just me as a collector. Like, I like the quote player collector, not a set collector. I think another thing, well, I'll save this statement for when we're talking about our closing thoughts on it, but I think there are chase cards, but then I have to wonder, like, how much of, not how much of a chase is it, but what's the demand for the chase? And I think on some of this stuff, there's not a demand outside of the wrestling card completists out there. That,
You know, unless you're looking for those grail pieces of like those really limited ones, like you know, the Hurricane
oh,
Mask
I'm not,
card,
no, I'm not
knee
counting
brace.
that. I'm not counting
Okay,
that stuff. I'm talking
okay,
about like just the base sets.
base set. Okay.
Yeah, like within those base sets. Okay, let me
Well,
rephrase it.
it
Like,
doesn't hurt to go back and get a parallel like the Rock, a parallel card
no,
like
no,
a
no, no, no. But that's again, like, how many times have we, I mean, look at 2021 Chrome. Look at the base set. It's really
yeah,
nice looking. There's a
true.
lot of good names. There's a lot of good imagery. And for some of this stuff, I almost think it's what you just said about the photo shoot for Trish. Like, some of
Yep.
it just seemed lazy. Like, let's just throw it out there. Let's not get too creative with the designs. Excuse me. But then, like, the relics are a whole different topic, and it's like they went above and beyond to try and make really good relic cards. So
That's probably. I mean, I guess I can agree with that. They kind of focused on just their higher end stuff from that product, and as opposed to the base set. But that's why I love WrestleMania 20 set so much, because I think it's just cool images. A lot of I'm not a fan of in-ring action type shots for the most part.
yeah, same.
But that particular set, I liked all that in that set for the most part. I liked the selection they used for Eddie Guerrero's frog splash. I liked the Kurt Angle, doing the ankle locks like that. It was just a cool looking design. Really made the image of the card pop for me.
That makes sense.
And then they chose some good stuff. Like, there's some really, like, I'm not the big Ultimo Dragon fanatics like that, but that card is so killer looking with him just like the background, the blow up, and then Shawn Michaels, doing that. I mean, it's just a
Yeah,
great shots they chose for that. That's why I love that set so much. But yeah, I think the base sets as a whole across the board is probably pretty lazy. Although I did kind of like in Raw versus SmackDown, they would put the facsimile autographs on them. It's like, that's kind of a cool little touch, I thought.
yeah, and I've always liked the trying to get the facsimile auto cards autographed. So it's like you have the auto and the facsimile auto. I'd always thought that was just a cool touch. But I think we covered quite a lot of ground today. So if you guys are liking this, make sure to subscribe and leave us a good review on whatever platform you're listening to this to before we get any further. So thoughts on going forward within, obviously there was only a 3-year 2001 to 2004 run of the Fleer product.
They put a lot of good stuff too, which, by the way, on a side note, just so you know, in 2004 they put out Divas 2005. Okay, I think that was their last release, if I'm not mistaken, the last release they ever put out, I think. That was at the time. This predates before that Ric Flair one of one so far WCW autograph card showed up. I get the distinction at the time of having the highest selling wrestling card on eBay at the time that I'm aware of. So if someone can listen to this and correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking 2004, all right? I pulled a Trish Stratus 1 of 5. It was an autograph relic card. So there was numbered to 5. And I pulled number 5 of 5. And I sold that on eBay for $1,600 and something at the time.
So, that's still good.
And that was a very high. I paid for my whole case plus,
right.
And so that was I was like super stoked. And I think it wasn't that long afterwards, that many months or years afterwards, where that Ric Flair showed up.
Yeah.
But that was pretty high end at the time. I mean,
that's still a good number for a wrestling card today.
Yeah, and I think that I'm curious to know if anybody out there knows, because maybe I can go do my own homework, I guess, and find out if any of those particular cards to this day are circulating on the secondary market and what they're getting now. I should talk to Paul and see if he's seen these, and maybe the prices need to be changed. I don't know.
You just used a perfect segue to get into this about kind of where these cards are going, and you talked about doing research on the secondary market. Unless there's some people being covert, no one's doing that, because I just, outside of the big 4 rookie cards, and then occasionally trying to track down a knee brace or a mask card just because of the allure of what those cards are.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I don't see anyone talking about the Fleer era of cards, really.
No, they don't. Out of those cards, I mean, there's certain autographs. I mean, Jesus, you got. I guess you could talk 2001. Wouldn't that be the year like Trish Stratus rookie era? No,
It's
no,
around
because
that
she
time.
nah, she came out with she was in the comic images set, wasn't she? No, she was in the art box set 2001 as well. That motion
So if you
card set.
count 2001 as the year, you'd have to count that too. The
Yeah.
Fleer
So
set.
yeah, I mean, outside of the big four from the Royal Rumble set, looking for significant long-term, like mean something type of thing to the hobby. I can't think of anything either. It's like that. I like that era of cards just because it was a cool era. I was really heavily, for me, it brings me back now to a time when I was still kind of watching a lot. I was still very much into the product on TV, but I was a heavy collector. And so to have it takes me back to that time frame, like going out looking for pieces.
Nostalgia
Right there. Going out.
again.
It wasn't so much because of what was on TV. It was because I was a collector and I had to go out and collect all that stuff. And so I was constantly using eBay, going to LCSs, checking out, any local convention that was going on, and going to Comic-Con San Diego to see if anybody had wrestling cards. But I was also heavy into other non-sports items too. I was doing, Buffy and Playboy and Star Wars cards. So I was looking for things at Comic-Con San Diego or other things besides just wrestling. And I would stumble upon promo cards I never saw before for like Art Box or something like that, whatever. But it's just an era of wrestling that I really enjoyed, an era of wrestling collecting that I enjoyed. So when I see those cards, I go, Ultimate Diva collection, not so much my favorite one, obviously, but I still remember when I was going after all that stuff. It was fun.
Yeah. Obviously the big four. We've talked about it several times on here. I think that's going to be the Fleer cards that stand out for wrestling. But
by far,
in my opinion, relic cards are way better. I think
relic cards, I think they're, again, I keep saying the grossly undervalued episode after episode after episode. So I have to come up with better things.
Well, people should probably take notice too, and let's get the market on fire.
Yeah, I think that from an investment standpoint, whatever your flavor is, there's a lot out there to go after. Fleer brought out a lot of cool things in the autographs because don't forget they're on card signatures, which is at the time nobody was doing that. They're on card. Two, the relics memorabilia cards offered some really cool designs, really cool matchups, like the matchmaker stuff with, there's a Kurt Angle, piece of the milk carton card.
The milk carton. Yeah, there's too many of the original ideas for relics that we'd be here talking about it all show.
Yeah, like when we talk about doing like this is your card, like what could be a great card to make. So Fleer had a lot of ideas already. Like I would do what Fleer did for this guy. That's what I would have done. There's not a whole lot that you can go through and say, man, I wish Fleer would have done that. But they covered a lot of ground, man. They took a lot of pieces of things and turned them into cool relic cards with, like we said, trash cans, milk carton, ribbons, tables,
and even the
steel chairs.
Even the basic stuff, like just a plain piece of ring mat that we all take for granted.
Sure.
In this set, well, first off, do you remember any ring mat cards prior to that? Because I don't. I remember the ringside rarity with Hogan and WCW, and then
that was it. The name said ringside rarity, but it was a T-shirt. It wasn't a piece of the ring.
Right. So as far as I know, Fleer is the first person to put out, or first company to put out.
Yes.
This, but not only that, it's pieces of the mat that you can then go back and track to like iconic matches in wrestling history.
It would tell you where it came from.
Right, and you can own a piece of those.
For example, that part, I showed you that one right there. It says on the back, this card contains a piece of authentic event used ring mat used at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, Canada on March 17th, 2002 by Kurt Angle and Kane.
And right there becomes a memorabilia play, not a card play.
But they didn't do that with everything.
No, but
because I have this ring mat right here. Just says, congratulations, you own a piece of like extra ring mat we've had 1,000 pieces of. But they did take a lot of attention to detail and things like that for some stuff. And, you know, you're not going to hit a home run every release. Some releases are better than others, obviously. But for the most part, you know, Fleer had some really cool, innovative things that no one was doing at the time. And quite honestly, haven't been really done since.
Yeah. Topps has had a couple of those, you know, event specific things where, hey, you got it from here. This is where it took place. But they're not paying attention to the detail like
or a weird thing like, you know, here's an AG Lee piece of her teddy bear or something like that. Or, you know, here's like, what did they have, like, what, CM Punk's ring trunks or something like that one time or something like that? Or was it wrist tape?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was something off the beaten path.
Something like that wasn't a t-shirt or you know, and it's different because a lot of the accusations about t-shirt stuff like that, it's like, oh, well, they put it on and they took it right off kind of thing. Oh, it's not been worn kind of thing, you know? Where Fleer had a lot of cool stuff that you don't see in the Topps product, where a lot of times throughout a lot of the releases, and I would know because I used to have a lot of it, they would have a piece of the ring mat that had blood spots on it.
That's cool.
Which was, you know, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that anymore. Not at all. And with that Triple H off the mat graph I had, it was probably almost all covered in blood. and it had the HHH, you know, the game on it, like that. And I'm like, in retrospect, man, I really wish I should have kept that. But, you know, we have lives that sometimes you need the money and you do it. Yeah, you can't look back. But it was a really cool piece that I was so happy to have. And I think that's the image we actually end up using for WTC checklist, which will be back up. We're working on the images. Don't worry, guys. We're working on images, working on it. But yeah, Fleer put out some great stuff, man. I could talk forever about Fleer. I could talk about the things they advertised and didn't list. They would advertise things like Championship Clash had a lot of cool things, or some mock-up sheets existing out there right now that would show you designs of things that they were planning on doing. Like, they had a series called Piece of the Champion, and they even had one for China that they never made. That set also had offered for the first time only, and it never transpired, but they had a redemption card that if you found it, only 50 existed, you got a replica belt. You could send it in for a replica belt.
That's cool.
They never honored that because they never got belts.
Right.
So there's a lot of, you know, legal things and hoops you have to jump through when you have the license for WWE. We'll go ahead and do that for you. You put out something for it. Okay, we don't have them. We'll put a redemption because WWE said we'll do it. Then they turn around and say, we're not giving it to you. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now we got stuff in the pack out there that we can't actually redeem, you know?
Yeah.
So, and anybody listening to this, if you're going to go after some of the older stuff, looking for, say you are a fan of Ultimate Diva Collection, or say you are a fan of something, please be aware that a lot of that stuff there's a lot of pieces in that were done by redemption only. And that's a long since expired. You know, we're going to get them. You know, they did it for All Access, had redemptions.
I think that's a good PSA for anybody that's opening sealed wax, because I've seen a lot of people going, like, sorry to cut you off and do a sidebar, but I had to say it. I see a lot of people doing that with the comic images stuff, and they're going to get a redemption in there, and they're going to be very disappointed.
But it's my understanding is that originally I was under the impression from what my conversations with comic images was, oh, it's all redemption. So we just kind of randomly choose when you send a redemption who you're going to get. But then I'm hearing from people who actually pulled stuff out of, you know, that was for superstars, by the way, superstars only. I had heard that, you know, people were actually pulling autographs out of the pack.
I've heard both, but I think, you know, people think that they've got a shot at the Rock Auto, which I don't know, maybe they do, but
I don't recall anybody ever. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but then again, it's also just hearsay.
Yeah,
I don't recall anybody actually. Yeah, I don't recall anybody actually saying, "Yeah, I pulled my Rock autograph out of a pack." I just don't think they were inserted in packs. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. I do know that I've twice in my life have hit an autograph redemption out of those, and that's the only way I got those out of packs. Everything else that I got was on the secondary market.
Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of the Fleer topics today. I think there's definitely some cards that I'm not going to say undervalue. I'll just say like under the radar, underappreciated. Like there's some huge cards out there that not from necessarily a monetary perspective now, but from a like just originality. It's the first of its kind. Fleer did a lot of amazing stuff outside of those big four rookie cards. So any kind of closing words as we get out of here today on the
No,
Fleer stuff?
I'm interested because the Fleer era is very near and dear to me, along with Comic Images and Artbox. That whole era from '98 through 2005 is sort of like my wheelhouse right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I'm always interested in hearing other people's feedback. So I don't think we've been asking more and more on these episodes to hear people's feedback, and I think we should really start doing that more between you and I, because we've been doing it, making sure we do that. I'm really interested in hearing people's comments. So, tweet us, Instagram, whatever your platform is for social media, get on there. Tell us what you thought about this episode. Tell us hey, I like this Fleer stuff. This is what I like. This was part of my PC. This is the Relic stuff I like. I like the matching set from Ultimate Diva, or I like the pay-per-view moment thing from Raw versus SmackDown, or whatever it is that you liked. I love hearing people's stuff talk about, especially that era, because it's kind of my thing, and I want to hear it. I want to hear what you like about it. What didn't you like? What was it, the crappiest set from them? I want to hear it all.
I want to piggyback on what you said as far as like reaching out to us. We're making content for you, the viewers, the listeners. We want to know what you want to hear, what you like, what you don't like, what we can do better, and get involved with us on all the social platforms. Me and Tony have started dabbling with the Twitter Spaces for just kind of, if we want to just hop on and talk to you guys, you're welcome to join us for random topics. We're just trying to get more involvement with the wrestling card community around our content and what we're doing. And I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this stuff and hoping you will continue to show us support. Speaking of that, Tony, tell everybody where they can find you.
WrestlingTradingCards.com.
Wow.
I keep it simple, man. I keep it real simple. I just everything is there. I am a firm believer that I'm not that WTC is a business, but if you're a business and you have a website, that is your home base, that everybody on the globe can get a hold of you. You don't rely like, oh, my home base is Facebook, or my home base is Twitter, or my home base is, whatever. You're sort of segregating people who don't follow and use those things. So everybody has access to a website. So I just say, pick your poison. You like to be on Facebook, go to WTC, click on the Facebook icon, go there. You don't like Facebook? You want to go to Instagram? Go to Instagram. I don't cover all the platforms. You cover a lot more platforms than I do. I don't do, Snapchat? I don't do
TikTok.
I don't do TikTok. My wife's addicted to it right now.
Everyone is.
I'm just not into those things. I just don't. I'm one man, and I don't know how to spread myself any thinner than I already am. This is why I'm not a big person. I'm very thin. So just go to WrestlingTradingCards.com and you can find every way to get in contact with me. If you have information about checklists, if you feel like you're a specialist on a particular Fleer release, like, hey, this is me. I know everything there is to know about. Like, this was my bread and butter, man. I was a big Absolute Divas collector. Send me the information, man. Send me stuff. I want to make sure it's represented and is accurately put out there, because in the end, people learn from this. They get educated from it. They know what they have, what they're looking for. And keep in mind, for you investors who are going to grading, the PSA, Beckett, SGC, I know they're all using us now. So they're all using us as reference points to, hey, this is legit. It's on WTC. Let's slap it.
Yep. You can find everything I'm doing, if you want to go social route, at Zhan Morning on pretty much all the social platforms. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast, and of course, this show you're listening to now, which is always one of the more fun, creative things that we can always count on some good conversation. And once again, as far as conversation goes, reach out to us. It takes 2 seconds to retweet what we're doing, or like it, or hit the reply button, or even DM us. Like, we're available. We want to keep the conversation going.
I swear to God, man, I swear, no one ever messages me for anything at all. And I'm not opposed to that. Like, I want to engage, but no one never asked me for my advice, really. I mean, no one ever asked me for, and I'm cool with that. That's fine. They look at you because you come across from different perspectives of things, investing, things like that. And
but I don't run the world's biggest wrestling trading card site, so you'd think they'd go to you, but
they all, either the two things they want to know is what's my stuff worth, and where can I find it? Where can I sell it? That's pretty much it. So, and that's when I get messages. Otherwise, I really don't. But I don't mind. I encourage you to reach out. If I don't know, I usually go to Zhan. I go to Zhan and ask him for stuff. If it's vintage stuff, it falls in that All Stars wheelhouse. I go to Peck. I go to England. I ask them because they're the experts at that. If it's a pricing issue, I say go to Paul's website, man. It's a guide to start you. I mean, obviously there's eBay. You can use that and kind of do the gauging yourself.
Sure.
But our website also has links to other places you can go to buy things. Our other places for information. So we try to house everything in one spot.
Thank you guys for listening. Again, we greatly appreciate your support since day one. For those of you who have been with us for, since day one, or for those of you, if this is your first time listening, thank you. Please subscribe and leave us a review on whatever popular podcast platform you're listening on. There's a lot of them out there. Make sure to share the show with a friend. Again, it takes 2 seconds to retweet or copy and paste the link, send it to a friend, send it to a wrestling fan, send it to someone that you think might find some of the content that we produce interesting. But until next time, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you.
Oh.